Okay, so welcome everybody, and thank you for joining. We'll get this kicked off. Um, Marianne Banzinger is going to present to you the Harmonized Crop Report. I am super excited that we are launching this. As I look back over the years, I think back to an excellence in breeding meeting, an internal team meeting, which we had in January 2020, where I had raised the topic with the team of how do we develop a dashboard where scientists and managers alike can very readily, easily, and quickly see where they're at in terms of progress towards more effective breeding and where they're at in terms of understanding the effectiveness of their breeding and including understanding what are the specific indicators that 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 they can use to understand that and how do they get calculated. And the at that time the EIB Module 2 team that Eduardo Covarrubias was leading had done a lot of work during that following year to develop indicators and and methods for calculating, and then Dorcas and her group have continued that work since and have contributed significantly to this harmonized crop report. But this harmonized crop report goes even far beyond the effectiveness of breeding. It importantly also describes the breeding strategy and describes what it is that each of the breeding pipelines are doing. So I don't want to steal Marianne's thunder. She will describe all of this in detail, but I'm just trying to convey the excitement that I have that we finally got this tool, which I see as an incredibly valuable tool for scientists and managers. And I think it's incredibly powerful once it's in use, and now that it's available. So this is a strategic tool. It's not a reporting tool, and I'm really excited. So with that, I thank you, Marianne. Marianne has worked tirelessly at the conceptualization of this, and she has driven a lot of the development of the concepts behind this, and also in working with Scriptoria to get this developed. And Scriptoria have done a fantastic job at developing the product itself in terms of the software development. And so with that, Marianne, I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Hello, everybody. This is really an excited point we are at, as Michael said. This builds on thoughts we had in 2020, and this builds also on the efforts of many, many people. I mean, first of all, there were several teams working to define how should we capture how should we describe our breeding pipeline, the efforts and the achievements that we are getting? There was in particular the reorganized team. They worked on something to say the breeding indicators. How can we establish that we make progress? They started out with a list of about 70 indicators, brought it down to about 25. We also cross-validated that with the Gates Foundation. What do you think? Should we use to describe really progress in our breeding pipelines? And we realized that the reorganized team, Gates Foundation team, was very much aligned. Transform had a lot of debate. How do we capture a partnership strategy? Yeah. There was a priority setting group with market intelligence. What are the robust development indicators? GLOMIP has over 150. Some of them are less robust, others are robust. And then you all have already provided or entered data. I mean, you worked with market intelligence on market segment definitions, with Refocus and Peter in particular on the breeding strategy, and we ask you to upload variety releases. So we are building up on the work of a lot of teams. Now, we then developed the concept about how we can pull this together as indicators. And we put it to Scriptoria, who really excelled on a hugely challenging task. They really developed something incredibly marvelous for us. And we had great partners and great input. And you will see that interaction with GlowMIP team. We draw on GlowMIP. We have an interoperable platform that works with GlowMIP and that draws as well on the result of BioFlow. So this hasn't come overnight. This is the culmination of a lot of efforts. So the Harmonized Crop Report is a strategy tool. It's really the first of its kind in CG. I stand to be corrected, but I know pretty well what's going on across the CG. I do think this is really the first of its kind. It goes to the core of what, a lot of you got probably tired about talking about indicators and KPIs and so on. But really powerful organizations, the private sector in particular, they have very carefully selected metrics that help the organization to track their performance, identify areas for improvement, and make data-driven decisions. We talk a lot about data-driven decision. So this is the tool that allows us to do so. It integrates data at this stage from the breeding portal, GlowMIP and BioFlow, and there are plans or there could be opportunities to expand this. So it's integrating data. It's not a lot of portals just say re-enter the data. This is really integrating and uses data from the other portal. So the data can and should be used to develop the crop team strategy. You can use it, and I believe it makes some of you in the current situation, you can use information for fundraising and reporting, and I show you that. I call it the beta version because you have given data like the breeding strategy, but based on what you see here, and as well the evolution of the past year, you probably need and want to update the data and ensure that it's complete so you can really use the full power of the tool. Feedback to the tool is welcome and suggestions, what other data do we want to integrate. So just to give you an overview quick so you can orient the Harmonized Crop Report has 13 or 12 sections, one of them in progress or in process, and one that we still need. It provides a market a report summary. The section 2 is the needs. It defines the needs in the targeted market segments, and this is where the breeding portal exchange data with GlowMIP. And it describes the partner involved, it describes the CG investment, it describes the breeding strategy, the value proposition pursued, and the associated traits. It provides a summary of how well a pipeline or what evidence we have for a pipeline performing or not. It then goes to the variety releases, what countries and scaling partners are involved. All this data is drawn from different sections in the breeding portal. It then exchanges against data with GlowMIP to calculate what are the populations that will benefit from these variety releases once varieties are scaled. You can capture the genetic gain. Previously, Dorcas was asking you to provide this in an Excel. Now this is all driven through the breeding portal where you can simply upload the output from the BioFlow, and I will show you how to do that. Likewise, the multi-environment trial reports, you can just upload straight the BioFlow output file and it integrates it. So we have a clear plan on how to integrate TD&D, trait discovery and deployment efforts and indicators, and it would be great if inclusive delivery based on this as well strengthened the space on scaling indicators. So now I'm changing to I show you live. So what has changed? We have many of you who already have been in the breeding portal. There is now a new there is a new tab that's called dashboards. And this takes a little bit a while to load because it pulls a lot of data together and you land straight with the Harmonized Crop Report. So with the first section. There are some other examples of data analytics, but let's talk about the Harmonized Crop Report. What this shows, you have up here a filter section, so you can choose your crop. So if you choose banana, you see how the information is changing. So all these sections that I listed before, the 11 sections that exist at this stage, they are then shown for banana. And if I go to barley, then it's shown for barley, and it extracts this exact same data with the same method for the respective crop. We can go, I take an example of beans, and you can further narrow that down. You could, for example, say, I'm interested what we do in not only beans, but in East and Southern Africa and West and Central Africa. You could also select subregions, or you could select by market segment, you could select by organization where two crops are involved, and you get the same statistics produced. So let's go through this. The first, the summary, tells you, okay, with these filter selection, you saw I selected beans and the two regions in Africa. It shows the data that shows two regions, 13 market segments. It summarizes the information, 3 subregions, 15 countries, and 6 breeding pipelines, 13 target product profile. So what you see here is a summary. You could drill in further and just see the information for one target product profile. So if Claire wanted to drill in, she could pick up one target product profile, and then the same statistics would just be shown for that target product profile. So what does this first or section 2 show? It shows these are what we consider the more solid development indicators: area harvested, production value, populations that are low-income population, chronic hungry, hidden hungry, and indicators that relate to climate change. This is what is the total in East, Southern, West, and Central Africa for beans. What is the total area based on FAO, and then the other indicators? This comes straight from GLOMIP, and GLOMIP extracts it from FAO. So what is the total, and what is the breeding strategy by the CG targeting? So out of the 9.9 million hectares beans, the breeding strategy of CIAT with its partner in Eastern and Southern Africa, West and Central Africa, targets 5 million of the hectare. And the same for the other indicator, and here you have the proportion. This information, this is often used when you make a case to a funder and saying how relevant is the work that beans does in Africa. You can use straight this information that previously you extracted, estimated, who knows with what method. Here, the information is reconciled between the breeding strategy that you have in the breeding portal with the GLOMIP information. It then goes to, this is what Bish talked about last week, and he showed some screenshots. This is the beans partners that are involved. So beans identified already what is the level 1, what is level 2 partners, and who are they? So we have the upload from the bean team of who these partners are and the level of engagement. And you see here there is an information. If you want to know more, this gives you a description. What is this level about? And I will tell you more later on about how you can get even more information about some of these terminology that the breeding portal uses. Yeah. So you have in section 2 the partners. This is the annual investment that being specified. Now this also says that this was the CG investment that beans estimated in the year 2021, and obviously that should require some updating. We then go down to the breeding strategy. A breeding strategy consists, this is a standard way of showing a breeding strategy. What is the pipeline? What are the associated market segments and target product profile? And you also see here the summary statement of how big are these market segments. So, for example, that medium large red mottled bush beans, which has a cycle time of 24 months, that the main effort is on East Africa. That is why it's category 1, and it has 1.4 million. You get it at your fingertip, this kind of data. What you then observe is you say, okay, yeah, we should probably update how much we invest because our funding situation has greatly changed. The Harmonized Crop Report makes that very easy. You see this looks like a paper clip. If I click on this, the right breeding portal site pops up, and Claire could go in and edit this site and update the annual investment figure. Yeah. And with that, and as well say, well, we updated this in 2025. Yeah. So with that, she could complete the data of the investment, and the sum would then appear up here. Yeah. So it makes it very easy, not only pulls it the data together, but these clips help you to find where you need to update the data. So again, imagine Beans is in the course of making a case to the Gates Foundation right now about where to invest and what kind of target product profile. You have a lot of the important statistics right here. I mean, here you have the area. Up here you have a wider range of development indicators. If you wanted to know that for a particular market segment, you would simply drill into that market segment up here. Yeah, so you would choose that, and then you would know the full range of the development indicators. Now, I don't do that for time reasons. I let you play with your own crop. The next thing that pulls together is the information about, we introduced the concept of value proposition that was discussed in earlier meetings. What this helps you across all these target product profile, what is that Bean at this stage pursues to improve two essential value proposition. It's less labor. That means it refers, if you want to know what is less labor, it means cooking time reduction. They pursue that, and they pursue better nutrition and health. And if you go down here, you would say these are the traits that they have in their target product profiles. So you understand very immediately what does Bean with all these target product profiles try to achieve, and what do they consider to be the essential maintain traits. We then go further down, and here now starts the summary about how well these pipelines are performing. On average, 24-month cycle time. Claire, you're the one to update. Is this correct? And otherwise, again, you could just click on this and update it so it's correct. That is one performance indicator. Another performance indicator is how many varieties have been released and how many scaling partners are involved and how many countries are benefiting. And at the moment, this shows 0 because I will show you how to update genetic gain estimates and met trial data. But that would tell you about the performance of these pipelines for genetic gain and the multi-environment trial that contains a lot of the information. How precise are these trials? At how many locations are they grown? These are indicators that the reorganized team defined that are indicative about the pipeline performance. So you would find here the list of the variety releases out of the current active breeding pipeline, which countries, which partners are involved. And down here, again, in interactions with GLOMIP, there is a direct calculation what would be the benefit if these varieties are scaled. And we can calculate this because when you upload the variety releases, you indicate from which breeding pipeline they derive. And the cross-section of the breeding pipeline with the country of the release allows us to estimate the benefit, what market segment is benefiting, and add that up and saying the total benefit out of the 5.7 million targeted. This is the same figure than we had up here. Out of the 5.7 million targeted out of a total of 9.9 million hectares, with these variety releases, these market segments encompass 1 million hectare. Yeah. So, so you see, it pulls this data together from very different parts in the breeding portal GLOMIP, and I want to show you how we now can integrate the bioflow analysis outputs. And for that, I use a different example. I don't use beans, I use maize, because that is where I uploaded a test example. So if you have maize here, you see again, all the information is changing. Let's choose again, just for the sake of it, East and West and Central Africa. Yeah. So maize, and if you go down here, you now see that for maize, I uploaded sample data for genetic gain and multi-environment trial reports. And it shows the high-level statistics out of these bioflow outputs. So this was a bioflow analysis for this pipeline, this market segment at the stage of early testing. And again, you see this, and you can go in and you see actually the bioflow information, the genetic gain summary report, and you can look at the specifics. So you would see how precise this is beyond what is shown here. And likewise for the MET trials, you can dig in and you find the actual MET trial analysis that was done and that was mapped to this pipeline, this market segment, and the stage. So you get everything together. You get at the top how relevant is what we are doing in a certain region for a particular crop, for a particular pipeline. You could narrow this down to one pipeline. Yeah. How relevant is this? You have the relevance, you have the partnerships and the level of engagement of those partners, you have the breeding strategy, you have the standardized way of showing target product profiles, and that is by the value proposition pursued. You have the affiliated traits, you have the variety releases that have happened, you have the benefit that has emerged from these variety releases, and you have the genetic gain analysis and the multi-environment trial report. This is a performance report. These are the indicators. Somebody asked, so what are the indicators? The indicators are, in most instances, the numbers. You know, an indicator is what is the area we are targeting as compared to the total area? That is an indicator. What is the value that we are targeting compared to the total? The indicator, the level of engagement of partners. These are things that a standard proposal asks you to say. What is the partner engaged? I mean, who is engaged and why? A big reason for them to engage is because the crop is important in their country. That is why we fit it here with the area. And what is the kind of, are they engaged level 1, breeding and testing, or are they engaged in testing only? Or are they benefit self-supported like South Africa? What is the breeding strategy? What is the value propositions that you're pursuing and with what kind of emphasis? These are what we call the indicators. These are the indicators for both your strategy and the performance. And obviously a MET analysis has a lot of indicators in there. I mean, you could look at, the precision, which is also extracted. You could look at the number of environments. If we are talking about on-farm environments, we were saying at least 30 environments. You can check it here. Are there really 30 environments in the on-farm trials, or were there fewer? These are what we refer to as the key performance indicators. So how do we get, and I show you this because you haven't seen this before, how do we get these bioflow outputs into the breeding portal? It's very, very simple. We have here a new section that calls breeding outcomes. And the genetic gain statistics, these are all dummy data that I loaded, example data. If you want to upload your genetic gain analysis, the only thing you need to define is for which crop is this genetic gain analysis, for which stage, late testing, for which breeding pipeline. I assume this would be Claire again, because working on beans, and for which market segments, and it shows what are the options. And she may say, well, we did this only in East Africa, this testing. So she says the testing was done for this market segment. And then it says upload the file. And here is an example file, and you open it and you see it gets uploaded. And when you go back to the statistics, you would find maybe it didn't, because it's the same files that I uploaded here, so maybe it didn't correct, but essentially it then appears here, and the harmonized crop report reconciles every 2 hours, and it would then as well appear in the harmonized crop report for beans. So the met statistics is the same thing. Upload new for beans, for on-farm verification, which breeding pipeline, which market segments were involved. Maybe it was only one. In which year was this done or completed? 2025. And you upload the bioflow output file. So in this instance, it would be this. It uploads into it, and it tells you it was uploaded. Let's see whether in this instance it appears. As I say, I uploaded now twice the same thing, and it may recognize that, and that's why it doesn't show. Yeah. So, but it's as easy. You go through the bioflow analysis if you want to incorporate your bioflow information. It just takes you, what is this, 30 seconds more of work to reconcile your genetic gains and met statistics with the harmonized crop report and have it then all together for your pipeline, for your target product profiles, for your market segments. Now, I was saying you can use this for fundraising. Give you a very clear example. Maize is submitting at the moment a proposal to the Gates Foundation. One of their breakthrough concepts is around early maize. Yeah, and they have several breeding pipelines on early maize where they want to make a pronounced progress for yield. So if I select these pipelines, you see immediately how relevant are the sum of these pipelines, what is the area, what is the production value, what is the populations that's poor in this area. So maize can use this information that previously you guesstimated, or who knows with what method you extracted it, and it takes it through the interaction with GLOMIP. You can, of course, say, well, this is the current size of these market segments for the early pipelines where we want to drastically increase yield. And you say, well, by the time this goes out, we expect that this area is 50% larger. And then you can use these values and you can extrapolate that. But you have a start of saying how relevant is what you propose to the funder, and you get it done and calculate it all with the same methodology. So factual data-based fundraising, factual data-based reporting. I uploaded the I clear once the filters because I uploaded that So how do you report? How do you use this for reporting? Let's take the example of maize again, and let's take, I uploaded this genetic gain and meta-analysis for this pipeline, for the for this pipeline. And this is the Highland maize pipeline of CIMMYT. And let's assume this has a distinct funder. So in this instance, if there is a report due for the Highland breeding program, you select where did this funding come in. You select the constellation up here, and then you have all the relevant information. How relevant is this pipeline? Who is involved? And some of these things may have changed. The target product profile. You have the variety releases, you have the benefit estimate that derive from these variety releases, and you have your genetic gain and multi-environment. So a report is often a narrative, but you can do it storytelling, or you can provide factual data, and the factual data is around the metrics. What trials were conducted? How precise were those trials? In how many environment was this conducted? What did we select? What kind of genetic gain did we achieve? This is what we mean key performance indicators, or important metrics that help you to really make a data-driven report. I give you another example. We are reporting every year in the PRMS, and you can use this for PRMS reporting in the following way. And I take an example of rice, and rice has been a little bit leading the way in doing this kind of reporting. So rice, you can make the selection for Erie, and you can make the selection for South Asia. And now you have what rice has done with these pipelines and the relevance of these pipelines and the market segments. And you get total information together, and you can download this as a PDF file, and you can attach this PDF file. This PDF file, remember in the past years, we asked you to provide a pipeline report. And here the pipeline report is now automatic and standardized. So download as a PDF takes a couple of, maybe about 15 seconds. I'm not doing it, so I can work further, but you can download this, and it's your evidence file for innovation reporting for what rice did in South Asia. And you can obviously do it as well pipeline specific, or you can cut this up however you want. But also for the upload, you find most information here. There in the upload, the question is what partners are involved. So this pulls you together the relevant information that you should use for fundraising and reporting together, but even more so, this is a strategy tool for yourself. So one more point I want to highlight. Let's leave rice. Let's clear the filters here, and let's go to wheat. If you go to wheat, you see there are a lot of flags here, red flags. Red flags, maybe not so good. And what do these mean? They mean that the market segment value is greater than the FAO area. So wheat says our market segments together are larger than the FAO area. This is mostly due when teams overestimated the market segment area, or in this instance is because we still have market segment area that were estimated independently by ICARDA, and CEMIT. And it would be good if you reconciled and agreed what are the market segments and then updated this information. So these kinds of flags are indicative that your market segments may not be well estimated. Yeah. Likewise, if you have a very low proportion of the total FAO area estimated, it may mean, and I haven't checked for an example for that, but I could try to, let's try to look at, if you look at plantain, no, plantain has pretty much estimated equivalent to what is in FAO, but what you may find, it's very small, that there is a very small area that gets estimated, that it's indicative that you haven't really covered all the countries where this market segment may be relevant. Yeah, so that's another usefulness of indicating how strong is your strategy. So the partner data, there is also a new module here, partners, or you haven't seen this. This is the place where you update the country crop by country level, and Bish was talking about this last week. And for example, banana, if banana has at this stage identified level 1 partners for Central, West, and East Africa, and imagine they wanted to add somebody in Southern Africa, so they have a Southern African partner, which is Mozambique. Mozambique, they would add Mozambique as another level 2 partner to their list, I mean the countries. So it's a very simple way to indicate which country for which particular crop falls in which level. You update it, I cancel this. So banana, I didn't modify your true reality. So you update this here, and partner organization, you can update in this menu. Now, this was a lot of information. It's recorded, but what is the way forward? You see, there are 2 support tools here as well. There is an e-learning tool. You get to the e-learning tool, click to get started. Here is the Breeding Hub, how to use the breeding portal. The total time it takes to go through all the aspects of learning how to use the breeding portal would take you 1 hour and 38 minutes. So it's a pretty doable job, but maybe you just want to do one thing. You want to know, how do I update variety releases? So you can go through these 3 recordings, which are together 5 minutes, and you know how to update variety releases in the breeding portal. So the e-learning tool is here as one of these. It's one of these tabs. The other place, if you are in the breeding portal, there is a support section here with the user manual. And here, for example, all these definitions and the role of status, they are explained here. It's not a long section. We try to make this as concise as possible. Peter was really pushing for clear definitions and verified definitions. So these are contributions from all to really come to concise definitions. So these are sections you can use to better understand this. The other thing, before I'm going back to the next steps, in the Harmonized Crop Report, you see this is, but there are also other example dashboards. For example, this one, products developed and delivered. They are not as sophisticated as the Harmonized Crop Report, but you can go, this is the variety releases by country. In the CG, currently there are 1,000 variety releases in 69 countries and with so many scaling partners. And working with Claire again here, beans can look at their variety releases, and likewise you can. So there are different dashboards, and these dashboards abilities will increase. So suggestions from your side, what are questions that you have? Let us then maybe developing new dashboards. This one is one that would draw on the program management platform. The more grants you load up, the clearer it is what is the proportion of contribution to the overall portfolio of B4T. And this one is the use analytics from the breeding portal. And what you see here is, this is how many logins we have. And what you see is that there are, most of you have a login. Some of you may not have logged in for a long time, but what you see is that there are 194 unique users. There have been happening quite a bit of logins. So your colleagues are logging in. They are updating information. ICRISAF joined relatively late. They updated a lot of the information themselves very quick, very fast. Yeah. They already use the e-learning tool, and you see there are quite a bit of visits right now. So I would assume the number of visits goes up as you try out the dashboard. So I'm going back to wrapping up and then maybe addressing a couple of questions, burning questions. So you all know this car. It's a Porsche. The Harmonized crop report is really a Porsche, and who likes to drive a Porsche? I mean, learn to drive a Porsche, otherwise you get kicked out of the driver's seat. It's really a nice car to drive. So likewise, I mean, Scriptoria provided us here with really a superb tool. Use it. And use it. Start to think differently. And Peter may want to say about this, you know, too often we say, well, we raise funds and we report. And it sounds like we are just doing that. What this tool should encourage you is to really establish and drive your strategy. And that means with your team together saying, where do we have the most impact? Where should we invest our limited resources so to have the greatest benefit? Make trade-off decisions. Look at how important the different pipelines and market segments are and make your decision. Develop your crop-specific strategy. Then use that crop-specific strategy to make the case to funders. And often funders don't only want to support, say, for example, one region. They may only, Asian funders only want to support Asia. Then filter it and make the case and use the information to make the case to the funders in Asia. Also use it to make data-driven assessment of strengths and weaknesses. If you click through, you will find that some breeding pipelines produced a lot of variety releases and others not. And ask yourself, why is that? Is it because it's too early? Or do we lack the connectivity with crucial partners? What is the reason that we are not getting there? Look at the metadata, saying how precise are our trials? How many environments? How do you get the data all pulled together if you pull it together, obviously. So really use this to identify also your strengths and weaknesses, and then identify the areas that you plan to improve from targeting right through to impact. So, and use the metrics, the data in this to support both factual, I mean, make the case to funders to raise funds, but also use the information in this pull together to support factual reporting. What do I mean with factual reporting? It's not just a story that you describe things. It is a story that uses the right metrics to support this. So the next steps are, at the moment, the data is as you provided it, but you may not have seen this bigger picture. So as a crop team, have a look at your strategy, at your harmonized crop data, query it, for example, by breeding pipeline, by region, sub-region, market segment. Then you, like the example of bean that I showed, says, well, let's update our investment or let's complete the information and do so. Use the e-learning tool if you are struggling with understanding how to do that. Upload genetic gain and MET HTML files. You saw 15 seconds, and they are there. And the high-level goals that we went through over the past couple of weeks, they define the asks. There already you find this reference to the harmonized crop report. So what specifically do we want you to update? If you have questions, I showed you the support sections. I showed you the e-learning course. At this stage, everybody can see and use the harmonized crop report, provided you have a login. There are only some people, and these are the crop leads and the refocus contacts, that have the permission to edit active records. Yeah. And if you want to have new logins or change of permissions of people that are no longer working with you, let me know and we make that adjustment. And if after all of this you still have questions, let me know. By crop, I mean, for example, if soybean, you say, hey, this is great, we have done this, but we are struggling with some concepts, or anybody else. I'm not pinpointing here soybean, I just take the example. If there is a crop team, what I'm referring to is then get in touch with me, and I will then see that we have a meeting where also the respective transform and accelerate team members are pulled in, and we can do the update online. Yeah. So thank you very much. Have fun driving the Porsche. I think that's about the conclusion. Okay. Over to you, Michael. Or maybe Peter, you wanted to make a case. You wanted to make about strategy and grants.
Yeah, thanks so much, Marianne, and sincere thanks to you for having the concept and the vision for what this could look like, and to the Scriptoria team for making it reality. And as Marianne said, this is source of truth now that we need to be using, that you need to be using to develop your strategy, your breeding strategy. And from my perspective, we need this. This is the top-down view of what each breeding team is doing. This is the strategy that they have. Use this. Make sure your data is updated. Make sure that what you're doing is reflected in the breeding portal, and use this to drive decisions that you want. Use this to identify areas that you need funding in, and use the data to go to funders and say, look, this is an opportunity. If you invest, this is the impact that we can have. This is what this tool provides. So look at this as your overall strategy. You can use it to develop projects that you want, but those projects have to fit into your overall strategy. And this tool allows you to see that. This tool allows you to get the reports that Marianne's just taking you through, that will simplify your reporting, that will report consistently across crop breeding teams. And so this is a great step forward, but it's only as good as the data that you put in. And you need to own that data, you need to use that data, and you need to develop your strategy. And from my perspective, your strategy is not the sum of your projects. Your strategy is overarching, in which projects fit. And that's the mindset change that I would encourage every team to make, everyone to think about, and use this tool. Get your data in here, challenge it, push it. We'll keep improving it, but it's a huge step forward. Use it to develop your strategy, use it to communicate to funders, use it for reporting. It becomes your heartbeat. It's your one source of truth. And so, huge step forward. Let's use it. Let's get everyone understanding it, and we'll all benefit from it. So again, sincere thanks to Marianne, sincere thanks to the Scriptoria team. It's a great tool. We'll all benefit from it, but please think about it as your overall strategy and how your projects fit within it. and how you start to manage your team, how you start to manage interactions with funders. It's all here. It's one-stop shop, and it will tremendously simplify your lives. And I hope that you use it and you see tremendous benefit from it. And please give us your thoughts on how we can improve it. But we're 80% there, and it's a huge accomplishment. So thank you.
Maybe I can go to a couple of the questions. There is Sandra. Hey, Sandra, and others that were saying, can we report on the advantage that we are achieving, the variety advantage? And actually, Peter, Michael, and I were just discussing the last hour. We have now an avenue of how to do that. That is first tweaking the bioflow. I mean, first we need to have a couple of users to tell us how this should look like. But the same way that we upload metadata, we can either tweak or make a different bioflow routine that then gives us that kind of information and upload it in the same way as we upload genetic gain and metadata. So there is more we can do, and exactly what is listed here of, I mean, Sandra asking example of advancement cohort that year that surpasses the top check. So we have an avenue how to do that. There is Gary emphasizing that this really should be used to define the strategy. There is now Gary was asking, why do I not find it CG breeding portal? Because, I mean, two reasons is you only get to this portal by login only, which means this is a safe space. The Gates Foundation, who was greatly supporting and actively as well working with us to drive the tool, they have access. You need to be aware of that. And Peter is working with them to really use this for standardized reporting. So you update here, you have the information you need for, I mean, Gates want to have some narrative with it as well, but this is where the substance comes together. Yeah. So it's only by login. Now, over time, you can say, well, we could make some of these dashboards openly accessible, but up to then, you don't find it. When you search on Google, CGI breeding portal, you don't find the login. And that helps us as well a little bit with the security of the site, which, by the way, has been beefed up very strongly by Scriptoria team as well over the last couple of weeks. So we really deal with a secure site. Yeah. So thanks to all involved by Gary in the chat. You need to really say thanks to everybody that I listed in that second slide. It's you all who contributed to it. It's a culmination of all our effort. Yeah. So Inosa tried to go through those how to complete missing information on your crop when you don't have permission to do it. I can, if you write me an email, you say, I don't have the permission, I will look at who has the permission for your crop, and then we can adjust it together. Yeah, so then you can update the information. Yeah, so get in touch with me, and we will see that you all are, each crop is really able to update their information.
This is great. Can I just make a comment about my question, Marianne? Thank you so much for the presentation and great progress. I'm really excited about this. I think one of the things we're talking about, as you know, varieties takes time, right? Sometimes you have a pipeline, it might take 8 years to get there. I think what we want is to be able to get annually reports of pipelines to understand if I'm investing in this pipeline for this trait, can I have good data that tells me that that cohort of advancement is beating the check by 10%. If that overall in 8 years, if I don't have that year, I'm not going to have in 10 years, right? So I think that's this intermediate steps that allows us to look at where we invest, but also how if track that investment at this level And not only that, then I think Gary brought that point here. If we haven't invested in a pipeline for 5 years or 6 years or 8 years, then we can take that amount of money associated with that deliverable to understand what is the return on investment. I'm investing this 5 years into this, and this is turning into this basically. So
yeah, Sandra, can I show you? I mean, this is already in the Harmonized Crop Report. That is exactly why we upload the MET information. Now, this MET information was done in view of giving analytics to the breeders. This is a standardized way. And what we will do is we will discuss we have a team, Dorcas, her team, how we can tweak this this generalized output that it gives. So it gives us a different output, exactly summarizing in the way that you describe it. The second thing is that Scriptoria has been not only working on this harmonized crop report, but on a data cube. Now it gives me probably the fatal error. I think this is when the data uploads. That's why it's still a beta version. But Scriptoria is also databasing this information in a data cube that we can then use for further queries. That's more work to do. We are currently working, I mean, our big milestone was really this harmonized crop report, but it's a story to evolve exactly around those user-driven requests that you have exactly right now given. And we are quite a bit ahead already on developing that. So you will see the peering maybe by springtime, yeah, that we can extract it like that. And likewise, we invite for the audience that's online is to bring in suggestions. You know, there are a couple of dashboards there, and you say, you know, I know what the data is in there. I want to have extracted it in a different way. And then we look at that and we can see, particularly with this powerful data cube, that Scriptoria is in the course of building it. It's really a marvelous tool and a marvelous team we are working with. There was a question, if you may address finger millet. You see, FAO deals with millet. And so finger millet is a breeding pipeline. You may not like that, but that is in order. There are certain ways of, I mean, this is Soban who is asking for some crops. Data is not available on FAO's site. So what you do is you choose millet and then you select the finger millet breeding pipelines and you get the information. Yeah, so the alignment with the FAO data made us defining everything that's not separated out as a crop by FAO to define it as a germplasm type. Yeah. So Gary, you offer. Yeah, you offer, I think, an example of narrative reporting. That would be great. Yeah.
No, I was just saying that you know, if you report that your heritability from a later stage trial is 0, right? We need to understand why it's 0, what's being done about it. The other major comment, I mean, this is a tremendous system. You know, it's wonderful we have it now. I wish we'd had it 10 years ago. What we're going to need with the increasing focus on performance of specific products coming out of the pipeline is more information on really, you know, we can get years and years of good genetic gain for traits and still no impact, you know, that can happen. So we need to also be able to somehow aggregate what is being achieved in terms of identifying products that should, you know, that the breeding networks feel should replace what is currently in use. And then once those have been identified, what's happening to them year on year, you know, in terms of
yes, and we have, I mean, I showed that on one of the slides. We need to identify stronger scaling indicators. Yeah, and it is already achievement to know who are the scaling partners, which is very easily done by pulling this together. And for example, circulating a standard survey across all crops, all scaling partners, that's relatively simple, easy to fill in. We could probably get quite a bit of information back that we could integrate as long as we keep it simple. And if partners know the CG, all of them send out this survey. It's the same survey, gets reconciled. We could probably get some stronger scaling indicators. So that's a discussion with inclusive delivery that we are having, and let's push that forward.
So just to build on what Gary just said, Marianne, I think the product replacement strategy is one that private sector uses a lot, because when you have a product already, a commercial product in the market, and you have it in a very large area, I mean, you can really easily strategize like if this product has this problem and I fix this problem, this is potentially the replacement of that means this big gain, right? So in that regard, do you guys have ways to look at within those market segments, which are the prevalent products and what is the area of those products, so that we could start drawing to that, replacement strategy? I think that could be useful.
It is included, and I can highlight where I'm drawing over time, and the GATES participants know we should be on a next GATES call, but so permit me if I can quickly show where, if my mouse is here. No, I'm sharing once more my screen, going to so just updating, going to the dashboard once more, reloading it. If I just pick up banana, you see here, view TPP traits. You see the TPP, and in the TPP there is the check variety. And previously that may not have been paid attention to, but you may want, and there is a draft guideline that Peter, Michael, and I developed with the Gates Foundation, and of really giving more detailed guidelines about what information in particular to upload, and this check. What is the check? That gets really greater importance to get this information into the target product profile. So the ones of you who have dealt with target product profile, they know what I'm talking about. They may not have thought, I mean, some have filled it in, but what is the check variety that you really want to replace? So we have a space and we have a way to extract it. So, but I think already these asks, these are great asks. These are the next steps to take. This is a story to be continued, but it's a really great product we have here, and it's based on a lot of people's effort. Yeah. So congratulations to you all who have worked towards coming to this point. Yeah. Okay, Michael, over to you.
All right, thank you. Like you said, we're due in a call with the Gates Foundation now, so we'll close this off. Thank you very much, Marianne, for this presentation, but also for all of your hard work, and to Scriptoria for their hard work, and to all those involved. I mean, this has been a real group effort and with many contributors, and it's resulted in just a fantastic tool that I'm super excited that we've now got. And like you said, there are areas that we're looking to add to this, but as it is today, it's a fantastic tool. So thanks very much, everybody. Please, for those of you that don't see your crop lead here, please tell them about it. I'll be sharing the link, and share it with your colleagues, and let's, as Peter said, use this. Let's use it to drive the breeding strategy. Thanks, everybody. We'll be in touch.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Maria.